Hi, I'm the star of the hit TV show No.1 For You, Leo, and welcome to In Bed with a BL. Today we're going to talk about a newer Taiwanese BL called No.1 For You, even though whenever I read it, I actually think it's No One For You. Just that little dot is super duper important. This is a newer series, it just ended and they're actually on season 2. It's very short, only about 6 episodes with a 10-minute 7th episode special, which is supposed to tell you about the events that go into the second season. So I kind of think about it as one long series, but I want to do this video on the first 6 episodes and then I'll watch the second part and do a video on that as well. It's interesting because the screenwriter, No.1 is actually the person who did the screenwriting for a lot of the really good history movies, history TV shows, like Right or Wrong, which is my personal favorite, Trapped, Obsessed, and Crossing the Line. So she has a really good track record, and this show actually proves that she's doing a really good job at writing some screenplays for TV shows, because this one is another one of her slam dunks. The cast for this one is pretty modest, and we only have a couple of main characters, which makes it a lot more streamlined, and each character actually gets a lot of personalization, which is good. The main character of this TV show is Zhou Shui. He is the person whose eyes we pretty much see through. He is the one being chased by our second person, Gao Shide. He is the one who's been chasing Shui the whole time, and he's always becoming number 1, and that's a big part of this. Whenever they're in a competition together, he always wins because he wants Joey to see him and notice him because he loves him. So he's like, look at me, I'm number 1, you have to see me if I'm always beating you. We also have Pei Shui. He is the cousin of Shide, and he works as the school clinic nurse. And he has a tragic backstory, interesting backstory that we don't really get into in this season, but I've seen clips that we talk more about that in season 2, Fighting for You. Then we have Shui's classmates, his 2 big friends that he's had his whole life. We have Fang Zhengwen, who is this really handsome, tall giant of a man who sometimes I feel like has to bend over in order to be in the screen with everybody else. And he is a childhood friend. And we also have a female, Jiang Yuxin, who is just the female friend of these 3 people trope. This is always the situation. This is something that always happens. There's either 2 guys and 1 girl or 2 girls and 1 guy, and eventually 2 people couple off. And that's kind of the main drama that starts the first episode. Finally, Shide and Shui also have like an extra friend because we need a side couple. So we have Liu Bingwei, who is Shi's friend, and then we have Shi, which is Shide's friend. And they are there to essentially just be a side couple. But they're really interesting and they're really cute. Now, this TV show kind of starts with almost like a Midnight Summer Stream, like turntable, confusing, mixing and dating and everything. And it's like a weird web of confusing love and breakups and stuff like that. So this isn't much of a spoiler because every BL tells you what the couples are in the credits and the trailers anyways. But let's do a quick math and talk about who loves who and how this works. So, first, Shide loves Shui. But Shui loves Yuxin. But I'm going to take it a step further and actually say that Shui also loves Zhengwen because he's just the tallest person in the world. He's 87 feet tall and he's super hot. So if he loves the girl, his girlfriend, and can date a guy, maybe he's a bisexual prince. So I'm going to throw that in there. But sadly for Shui, Yuxin and Zhengwen love each other. So he is very brokenhearted, and that's the start of the first episode. Bingwei, Shui's friend, loves him, and Zhiyu, who is Shide's friend, loves him. But Shui grows to love Shide. Bingwei and Shui become a couple. They become a side couple. Now, Shui thinks Shui loves Shide, but Shui is actually Shide's cousin, and he loves a mystery person that we don't really see in this season, but I think we'll learn more about that later. And in the end, there's a handsome bartender, and I just want to pick him because he's handsome, and he probably just loves money. So this is the confusing thing and how all the chips falls in the end. This is the whole drama. It's always revolving. They think they love this person, and they don't love this person, and they end up with this person. But yeah, you know how it's going to end up already in the beginning, but there's a lot. One final thing, we'll probably talk about this again too, but Shida's mom is amazing. I love when they're super awesome supportive parents, and Shida's mom is super cool. She's a single mom. She's trying her best to make Shida have a good life, and she's really cool and accepting of him. So props for super cool mom powers. Basic plot. Shi, Zhengwen, and Yushin are childhood friends. They've done everything together and they're about to graduate, I think, university. I'm pretty sure they're in university class at this point. They're about to graduate, and Shui wants to confess his love for Yushin. But sadly, Yushin confesses for Zhongwei, and he hears it. At this point in the story, Shui goes full Ross Fajitas moment where he's like super fine with everything.
Ross.
It's all working out. Me and Charlie and you two. You know what we should do?
Calm ourselves?
No. We should all have dinner. Yes, we'll do it tomorrow night. I'll cook.
Look, don't you think that'll be a little weird?
Weird? What? What's weird? The only thing weird would be if someone didn't like Mexican food because I'm making fajitas.
And becomes like their #1 shipping fan. So he goes into a horrible, messy, depressing state. Enter Shida. Shida already caused a stir in the first scene when he showed up at a swimming competition and made everything horrible. And we learned that Shida has always been being #1 and showing up showy. And he's been doing this, why? Why does he want to be #1 for him, #1 for you? Because he wants Shui to always look at him. And this is just another example of this. That is the basic premise. Shui is madly in love with his friend, but he can't have her because his other friend dated them. In order to keep his friendship going, he has to be helpful a bit and keep his feelings hidden. So in the first episode, there's a scene where he is super sad and cries, and then he jumps to his death in the swimming pool, kind of Soda style, where what's his face jumps into the ocean because he's upset, and it's just like very dramatic. But he jumps in the swimming pool, and Shuda goes and saves him, just like in the first scene, he saves in the ocean. But we get a kiss in the first episode, which is really cool, and it's really confusing. And they're like, "Oh, what is that?" And they play it off really funny. The second episode has this really awesome scene, and it's one of the reasons why I fell in love with the show. So Shui is in this dark space, and there's all these like things going behind him, like stage props, and he's having a monologue about his emotions and his sadness. And it turns out it's at like the theater department, and all the theater kids are just watching him going like, "Hey, can you leave? We want to live our life and do our best." This totally reminded me of a Taiwanese film called Formula 17. Towards the end, the main character's friends do this whole like set piece when they talk about the background of like the slutty love interest and why he's so cold and slutty, and it kind of gave me that same vibe. I'm not sure exactly if that's what the callback was, but it felt very in the same vein, which is really good. And it's really cool when it's something like a Taiwanese show or any type of show that doesn't call back to an older version of something. Because Formula 17 is a really good one. It's hard to find, and it's like really old quality, but I'm gonna do a video on that one too, because it's really fun. There's actually rumors in Taiwan that people might be doing like a release in a movie theater if they can get enough money and maybe like upgrade the footage a little bit. That would be super duper cool. So the story progresses. It's pretty just a normal love story where Shida is trying to win over Shui's love. Like I said, it's only 6 episodes long, so it's not very deep. And each episode is only about 30 minutes, which is super nice. It's super easy to watch, and it came out weekly on WeTv, so it was kind of like fun waiting for a TV show to come out and be like, "Oh, what's gonna happen next?" There's a lot of cool humor. Like I think it's episode 2 or maybe episode 3 where Shui is trying to steal a cell phone. There's a part where Shui is like doing all these pranks to like, get back at Shida, and he tries to steal a cell phone, and Shida like wakes up the last moment and pulls him down, and his face just like falls like into his crotch. And then Shui's friends walk in and see him like this, and it's sort of like The Shining where that guy's giving a blowjob to the teddy bear, and everyone's like, "Oh my god, you're doing a blowjob in the library?" and it was really funny. And that scene was like all over Instagram, and it was really funny to watch. So there's a lot of cool humor. There's a lot of fourth wall breaking, kind of like the Formula 17 reference, where there's just like a lot of cool, interesting, just like silliness that goes on. So I give it a lot of props. It made itself very entertaining, and when a drama / love story is able to just be like funny like that, I give it mad props. Though all my dreams came crashing down in the second episode because like major red flags happened. So Shide takes a video of Shuyi crying in the first episode and uses that to blackmail him in order to get him to spend time with him. This went off like all the bells, like, no, I thought this was gonna be good, and this is like super creepy, like, oh, I'm gonna blackmail you to dating me. It's a little creepy and it really bummed me out. Spoiler, later we learned that that really wasn't his intention. It's still a little creepy, and Shide, throughout the course of the TV show, is kind of obsessive and does a lot of extra things that, like, if he wasn't really handsome, would probably make this more of like a thriller, maybe murder mystery. He's a murdy one, but he does like some things that are a little bit questionable. And this blackmailing is a little bit creepy, but he also gives Shuyi a challenge that, like, oh, if you're able to beat me in something, some only number one, you can be set free. And later on we learn that he did this only just to get Shuyi's mind off of his lost love and to give him like a new goal and to make him feel happier. So in a way, when you find out later like what the whole reason behind what that is, it's less creepy and kind of cute because he is targeting exactly how Shuyi would react and like the best way to get him onto a different topic. But in the second episode, it still gave me like crazy warning, like, oh my god, this guy is kind of creepy. Like I said, I'm going to do a spoiler section later on. We'll talk about, he does a couple other things that are a little bit suspect, but all in all, this show is pretty unproblematic and just cute, so you can kind of give it a slide. The side couples in the story is actually really cute too. Zhiyu and Bingwei are actually kind of cute together, especially during like the Halloween episode when they are forced together, and they bicker a lot too later on. They're just kind of cute, and they have like a couple like really cute scenes. Later on, there's an episode where eventually, like after the Halloween one, they become super duper close. Especially when Zhiyu is confronted by Bingwei, and it's like, he's not gonna love you back. He's not gonna love you back.
You want to hear something funny about him?
Sure.
You will never have him.
What? Excuse me?
You will never have him. He's...
And they kind of like bond after that, and they get really cute. There's like a cute feeding scene where, just like the blowjob scene, all the friends witness this, and they're like, what's happening? So they're really cute. I really like them actually. And I just, like I said, or I've said before, side couples are always really great. Everyone loves side couples. Even the straight couple, Yu-Shin and Jung-Wen, they're actually really cute together. We all know Jung-Wen is like super hot and tall, and Yu-Shin, she's really pretty, and apparently she's like the oldest of the three, and she kind of takes initiative. Like, she's the one who confesses, and she's like, you should date me, stop being a bitch. So she's kind of interesting. And everything comes down to the Halloween episode, because during the Halloween episode, Yu-Shin is working it, but Jung-Wen goes and like helps her because he's like, oh, you're working, and they team up together to scare people, which is the ultimate romance. I even used to do this with someone I used to date. Scaring people together is just the ultimate romance. There's nothing more romantic than making other people scared and cry. Maybe pee their pants. It's amazing. And I just want to draw attention to Shida's mom one more time. I love really awesome portrayals of single mothers, or just really cool mothers and accepting parents in general. So Shida's mom is a super cool mom. Eventually, Shuyi and Shida go and have dinner with Shida's mom. And she is like super funny, she's super cool, and she teases Shida a lot. And I think it's really nice. And just her existence in the show makes it really cool. And accepting parents is just always like a subtle, cool thing that always happen. So I totally respect that. Now we're going to enter the spoiler section. So we're going to talk about things that happen in later episodes, and I think you should watch this by yourself first because it's super good. But so you can skip this, I'll label it doing spoilers. These are some things that I didn't like, I did like, but they're scene specific, so I don't want anyone to be like, oh, you ruined it. There is a reveal that Shuri and Shuda actually know each other as children. This is just like, this trope is becoming a little hacky at this point. There's always a situation where they knew each other as children, but one doesn't remember and the other one does. And it's usually the one who's chasing after the person who remembers everything. And they're never that old. It's never like, oh, I met you at 10 and now we're 53. It's like, oh, I met you when we're 13 and now we're 18. Like, it's, I don't know. It's not my cup of tea. That was kind of unnecessary. It is cute that one is missing a dad and one is missing a mom. Together they have a family if they get married or something. I don't really know. That's kind of cute, but it was just weird. I don't know. I'm bored of that. It's in like everything. There's even a show now that I'm watching, and it was the big reveal, episode 5 or 6. It's like, oh, I knew you when we were 12. It's like, wow, amazing. Laurels in spring. Groundbreaking. The whole Halloween episode is super duper cute. Like I said, I love when people are scared. I love when people scare each other as a couple. That whole thing is really fun. They go through a haunted house. But, like I said, with Shuda being a little too obsessive. So in that episode, Shuri and Shuda get stuck in the clinic. And it turns out that Shuda actually broke the door on purpose so they would get stuck together. It's weird, I don't know. And then he also logs in online and tells all his friends that he pretends to be Shuri. It's like, oh, I'm fine, blah, blah, blah. So, the stuff like that is like a little, like he's a little too obsessive. Like he always joins the sports and things Shuri does and wins. He locks him in a room with him. It's a little awkward. So, it's a cute scene, but like the context when you think about it is a little weird and just like too extra. But we had this part where he makes ramen for Shuri, and Shuri gets really mad. Apparently it's like a special super duper ramen. It's just instant ramen. So there's probably a backstory to this. Maybe we'll learn about his mystery love or something, and that ramen is something special. Hopefully we'll learn about that in season 2, because this totally gave me like Together vibes, where that guy was crying about the picture and we never learned what the whole point of the picture was. So hopefully in season 2 we'll learn why the instant ramen was such a pressure point for Shuri. And another thing that actually makes Shuda look really awkward is the whole time he knows he's moving to America with his mom, but he doesn't tell Shuri. And Shuri finds out by walking in on conversation Shuda is having. And it's like, oh, by the way, I'm moving to America in like 4 days. So I aggressively chased you down and like forced you to confront your homosexuality. And now we're dating and tell all your friends. And by the way, I'm gonna move to America and we're gonna do a long distance relationship. That was just like really uncomfortable and awkward. And it's like, okay, bye. He's like, oh, I was gonna tell you, but he left like really soon. So that part was really fishy too and weird. I didn't like how that played out on Shuda's part. A little suspect. Then we have episode 7, the special. This one talks about when Shuda is in America and they're writing notes. But eventually, Shuri comes to America and sees him with this white woman. They're having lunch with the white woman and there's a baby. And they're speaking English. This is super awkward because the last episode 6, there's a trailer and it shows what's gonna happen in season 2, and Shuri is pissed off and slaps him, and it's all about fighting, and it's a little uncomfortable because their dynamic now is like very aggressive and also like a little more sexual. There's a lot of like slapping and throwing on couches and aggressive kissing, so it seems like a big change, and it's like 5 years later. So going into that, I was like, oh crap, this is gonna be awkward. I hate time jumps. I hate time jumps. I hate Nicki Minaj hiding in the closet. Hate time jumps.
Hey! Your hair and makeup today.
But that's where we are. And then this episode tells us why there's a time jump. Apparently, Shuri goes to America, sees him picnicking somehow randomly, and just storms off and goes back to Taiwan. It was a little weird and a little awkward. There's definitely going to be a miscommunication of some sort. She's probably like a family friend or something. but that made me it felt tedious. I was annoyed with that. I was like, ugh. Also, the flight from Taiwan to USA is like 16 hours. If I went 16 hours in an airplane, I hate flying, I'd cry the whole time. If I went 16 hours in an airplane and saw my love interest with some like blonde white woman and a baby, I would cause a scene. So I was very annoyed that he was just like, okay, I'm just gonna go back home. So dumb. I digress. Oh, one last thing I want to talk about. Joey, the clinic doctor, is like super interesting and like super messy. So he is Shuda's cousin, but he's like messing with this relationship. And when watching this, I was trying to figure out like, is he trying to get with Shui, or does he really love Shuda? And there's gonna be like a weird incest concept. But it turns out he's just like a messy bitch, and he's just like playing mind games for fun. And I think he has some problems. In the episode 7 special, and towards the end, that handsome bartender gave him like a full psychology exam while he was giving him shots, and something weird has happened to him. But in episode 4, there's like this most amazing scene where he's talking to Shui, and he's just like, "Oh, I'm gonna get Shuda, blah 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 blah. You are nothing," and he's like, "Did I say too much?" And then Shuda like walks in, and that scene is just like the most epic, badass thing ever. And I have it on my phone, and I just watch it sometimes because it's fun, and I love it. What I like about this show. The easiest thing I like about the show, it's really short and sweet. I like that it has half-hour episodes. A lot of shows sometimes are 40 minutes to even an hour, and as an adult and having less time, these 30-minute shows are a lot more enjoyable for me. They're short, sweet, to the point. Some people are actually getting back to some K-dramas or like 15 episodes and short, like Color Rush. But even that, I was like, okay, I get a cool story really fast, and then I can go do my adult life stuff. So I kind of like the short, sweet aspect of it. It has a good direction. The screenwriter, we said already, she has a good sense of writing interesting stories. I like where it went. It wasn't groundbreaking, but like all the characters were well developed, and it was interesting. Also, it's funny. There's a lot of good humor. There's a lot of cool sound effects, and it just made me laugh a lot. And any of like the intense drama scenes were followed up by something more interesting. So it had a good like up and down pacing. It wasn't just which some BLs tend to have, especially towards the end of it. It's also not problematic. No one's getting sexually assaulted. Shuda does a little bit of suspect stuff, but it's all superficial and not super creepy, and it's not anything that puts Joey in a bad situation. Except towards the end of the time jump thing, maybe, but we'll learn more about that later. It might not be his fault. Who knows? Joey becomes super duper lovable in the show. When I was watching the trailers and the previews and just seeing, I actually wasn't too interested in Joey. I was like, oh, he's whatever. But his acting, his character, and like what he brought to the table was actually just really lovable and endearing, and he kind of became my favorite character. I was very surprised. His faces and how he acts is like really, really adorable, actually. So I was kind of won over by him. So check mark, I think I like. The side couple and the straight couple are actually both really cute. So I like a show where all the couples are not felt like waste of time. A lot of BLs always have like the token straight couple where they just like takes time away. They're very minimal, and they have like a couple minute scenes, but it's really cute. The gay side couple also has minimal effort, but it's still endearing, and they have like kind of like an end, like, oh, okay, they're kind of together and happy because they realize that the person they're chasing doesn't love them. So everything felt at least completed for the first season, which is good. And then I like that like whole #1 concept, like, oh, to get you to notice me, I'm just gonna constantly be better than you, which it's like a catch-22 because yeah, they're always looking at you, but like Shoei like hates Shuda for this. So it's like, oh yeah, he's always looking at me, but it's usually with like hatred in his eyes. But I thought that was really cute, and I feel like that's like a lot of competition-based things that people do. Like I used to do that. If I got a higher score than someone I had a crush on in junior high, I'd be like, yeah, no, below, so they would talk to me. So I thought that was super cute. The two things I don't like, I've actually already mentioned before. Time skip. I hate time skips. It's so annoying. No.1 class does it. It's not really a BL. There is a cool trans character, by the way. But and that has a time skip towards the end, and I just like stopped watching it for some reason. I just hate time skips because like, do you really think that nothing interesting has happened in 5 years? You just have to, they just like sit in a box and lament like, oh, my forlorn heart. So I hate time skips. I think that's so annoying. So the whole 5-year time skip, and then there's like slapping. I was really turned off by it. I'm not too big of a fan. And like I said, Shuta's scheming is like a little creepy. The blackmail thing was like red flag. The clinic thing was a little creepy. Yeah, I don't know. That part kind of bothered me. This one I'm gonna give a solid 8 out of 10. It's short and sweet. It's another decent, good Taiwanese BL. Taiwan is really good at pumping out good products. I think it's just a solid one to watch. You might not fall in love with it. I thought it was really cool. I thought it was interesting. It's not perfect, but you should definitely watch it if you can, because it's pretty good. What am I doing? I'm still watching Manner of Death. I think I did the same thing I did with Hello Stranger, where there's like 2 episodes left, but I don't want to watch it because I really, really like it and I don't want it to be over. It's so close, and I also know that Inspector M doesn't get with Tan and Bun, and they don't become like a throuple of my dreams. And if I watch the whole thing and know that doesn't happen, I'm gonna cry, because that's really all I want. But maybe there'll be more. But it's really good. You should check it out. I'm also watching Lovely Writer, the new Thai BL. It's really funny, and it does a lot of like making fun of the BL tropes, which I really like. Like, they talk about how like, oh, that's kind of great, because a lot of BL and a lot of BL watchers are like really okay and also seem to love sexual assault and rape, which is really creepy. So Lovely Writer seems to talk about that a lot, which I think is really cool. Also, Nimsib, the love interest, is like a little bit creepy, kind of like Shuda. And you could easily turn this into like a single white female situation where Nimsib just like wants to like murder the crap out of Jean, and I think that would be just as interesting. Finally, I watched the whole thing. There's only 4 episodes. The Man Who Defies the World of BL. It's really funny. Japan, like Osan's Love, has been really good at pumping out just like hilarious gay things. This one I was really nervous would be kind of offensive, but it's not. It's just like really super duper funny. And the last episode, like, so cute. So if you can find it, it was really hard for me to watch. It's mega funny. Yeah. So I hope you enjoyed. Definitely check out No.1 For You and number 2, Fighting For You, Fighting for Mr. Right, whatever the second one is called, because it's really good. Taiwanese excellence. All the actors are really good. And hope to see you next week. Next week, I will be doing Aya. I started watching it again to write notes, and I cried like a baby the last episode. So maybe I'll show you some pictures of how messed up my face looks, and hopefully I don't cry while talking about it. But that one's really good. So hope to see you next week. Like and subscribe. Bye.